Welcome back to From the Belly. I'm Doug Wheeler, and I say it every episode. I'm really proud of the work that I get to do, that we get to do. I sure couldn't do this without my guests. Today is a special edition, and I don't mean to be a smart aleck about it because it really is a special edition. It's outside of what we've been doing, even though it does fit under the umbrella, as you folks know that have been listening. If you're a first-time listener, we're in a season of why not church or maybe why church? And it's a challenging question. It really does question the validity of the institution of church, the concept of church, the practice of church. And I think the people that are best suited to do that kind of work are the people that actually are invested in church to say, we have to keep asking, why do we do this? Because really, if we're doing important work, there's going to be resistance. There's just going to be resistance. It's just the way it works. So today's special edition is with Reverend Dr. Randy Woodley and Don Watson from First Baptist Church. And again, I'm Doug Wheeler, and this is From the Belly. And we are going to spend probably half amount of time of what our usual episodes are, because we're going to get right to the bone of what's happening with Randy and his wife Edith. Um, well, uh, you all who know Randy know what Eloheh is, because maybe you've even been on the grounds. I've not been there yet. I'm new to McMinnville. Randy's a new friend. Don has actually been there. You folks from First Baptist and even McMinnville, so many of you, I'm sure, have visited that site. If you're a first-time listener, we'll let Randy describe what it's about, because you're not going to understand what he's battling with if you don't understand what they're about. So Randy and Don, thanks for being here.
Thanks for the invite, Doug.
You bet. You're better equipped to have a conversation with Randy about it. I'm just proud to set the table. So I've titled this today, and Randy and I had a conversation about this. It really is a plea. It's not a pitiful plea. It's a plea, and that is let us practice our faith. That's call is to let us practice our faith. And us is Eloheh, which is Randy and Edith, and then all the people that work with them to serve and do transformational work. So I'm going to hand it over to Dawn. I'm going to hand it over to Randy and let them have a conversation about this current challenge in Yamhill County.
I'll go first. So, Randy, when I learned from you a few weeks ago more details on the restrictions that Yamhill County is trying to put on you and your work, I was totally shocked. I mean, not shocked that there's pushback, because it seems to follow a lot of folks who don't fit a certain model. But for the county to tell you or try to limit how you use your property, educational work, it just sounds crazy what the issues seem to be from your perspective.
Yeah. Thanks, Don. So we have been in dialogue with the county for over a year, trying to figure out like how we can do what we are called to do, and try our best to accommodate them. They've sent us down several bunny trails that amounted to nothing, and we finally got in this sort of a thing where they said agritourism permit might do what you want, and then they changed that. So bottom line was they did agree to this agritourism permit, but they said that we could only have 6 events a year, and that those had to be, only one of those could be overnight, that we had to have our own food catered. We can't, I mean, not our food, but other food catered from the outside. We couldn't serve our own food, which is part of what we do here. There's part of our spiritual practice. They said that we can't have over 24 people at any gathering. They said that we have to start at a certain time in the morning and we have to end by a certain time at night. They talked about how we have to treat our own sewage when we have compostable toilets that are separate at the source, and they don't have regulations to deal with that. They're way behind in the science. This is all proven science. World Health Organization and others who have said urine separate at the source is not mixed sewage. That's the only regulations they have for it. And we said, as a regenerative farm, which is part of our native practice, is to give back to the land. And so there's just a whole lot of things that, now there are some things that they ask for that we're willing to do. We're willing to make sure there's access and egress for fire trucks. We're willing to, we planned anyway to build a accessible composting toilet system. So everybody had the equal access to bathrooms. That's something we're planning. We could execute that right away because that's important to us too. We said we won't use amplified equipment because that's one of the things they ask for. And we don't use amplified equipment anyway, and we don't want to be bad neighbors. So we're not going to do that. So it's not like we're saying don't have any regulations at all. We understand health and safety concerns. We just don't think that they have the right to ask us to limit the kinds of spiritual worship that we have on here, and to tell us when we can do it, when we can't, and what times we can do it, and how many people can do it, and that we can't serve our own food. This is ridiculous. Our food is our part of our faith practice.
Mm-hmm.
We have a seed organization. We collect our seeds, have a harvest ceremony. We plant, and we have a planting ceremony. We pray over them. We talk to them and pray over them as they're growing and planting. When we harvest them, for us, that's communion. They want to tell us that we can't take our own communion because it's different than what churches do between 11 and 12 on Sunday morning. So this is the problem. I mean, and when we host people, it's very simple. I mean, people come to our home. We teach seed saving. We teach stewardship of the land, spirituality connected to the land. We feed people the food we grow. We pray. We have overnights because our ceremonies don't always fit a 9 to 5 schedule. Sweat lodges go into the night. Other things, but a lot of it's just sitting around a cedar fire until late in the night and talking and sharing and getting to what we call fellowship, right? So people fly in, they need housing, and for them to say you can't do this is, to me, absurd.
Well, Randy, would you mention a little bit about this federal law that is part of your appeal?
Yeah, RLUIPA, which stands for, I think it's religious liberty,
religious land use.
There we go. Religious land use, institutionalized persons, and institutionalized persons, and what's the access or accommodation? The
Act. Yeah.
So basically that law was passed so that minority religions and people incarcerated both wouldn't have undue regulations put on them that would prohibit them from exercising their faith. And it basically says that it's the part of the regulating institution, such as the county, to find ways to work around religious ideas, to basically say this is the minimal use. So, for example, they need, in my opinion, to find ways that we can have overnights, ways that we can serve our own food. Like I said, some of the things they're asking are not unreasonable. Accessible, ADA compliant toilets, as long as that we can use our composting toilets. So we're appealing on the basis of that federal law because it looks like it was made for our situation.
Well, for folks who are listening in, I'm the treasurer at First Baptist Church of McMinnville, Oregon, and have a space at our governing board. And I just can't imagine the county coming into our facility and having similar restrictions. I mean, that would be crazy. And how many small, medium, and large churches in Yamhill County are having classes to share their faith, are bringing in people to have a meal together? I mean, that's just understood. And no one would put up with the kind of restrictions they're trying to put on Eloheh Indigenous sinners. So my heart goes out to you, Randy and Edith. I just don't get it.
Well, we don't either.
What do others in your support group? What kind of, have you heard from other folks around the country who, I'm sure there are many tribes and indigenous groups that have had answered to these kind of battles?
We've heard from some people who have fought some battles for the tribes. We haven't heard yet from the Grand Round. I've notified them, and we have heard from a lot of religious leaders and friends and people who have been through Eloheh, who have sent letters in. And I know that there's a lot of support for clergy who are going to show up at the meeting on February 12th. So we feel very supported in that way. And a lot of these pastors especially ask the same question. Well, we have overnights. I'm like, well, yeah, but in Yamhill County, that's illegal to have an overnight in your church. But everybody does it, right? So, and then we serve our own food. We have potlucks. Nobody regulates that,
That's right.
And we have even more of a reason to serve our own food since we grow it. And it's non-GMO. We use no poisonous inputs whatsoever. This is mostly heirloom seeds, which, for example, the corn you buy in a grocery store is about maybe 1% protein. Ours is about 9% protein because it's been handed down from native people all along. It has more minerals, more proteins. And so the food we're serving is actually healthier. And for them to say you have to cater your food in, it takes it completely out of the realm of what we do in the health, which is part of our understanding of being a religious person also, is taking care of your whole self. And so they're asking us to lower our standards and spend a lot of money, by the way, just to allow food to be served at our gatherings.
Doug, you have a question for us to help?
Well, so Randy, in regards to, tell us who is this? What's the Land Commission Board or whatever? What's the title of the group that's making these requests, and also what I would say applying pressure to? What are we dealing with here? What's the name of that bunch?
Well, that's the Yamhill County Planning,
Okay.
and then who we're appealing to is called the Yamhill County Board of Commissioners.
Okay. Okay. I know we're going to talk here in a few minutes before we end about an upcoming hearing. I think that's the right way to.
Yeah, the official name is the Yamhill County Department of Planning and Development.
Okay. Okay. So there's an assumption I make, and my 7th grade teacher taught me that if you make assumptions, there's a problem with that, but I'll make one because sometimes they're accurate. And that is that these folks don't understand, not only don't understand what you're about and what you do, but they don't understand the value that you bring to Yamhill County. Not just the value to, like, kind of spiritually, like, well, people feel better and whatever, but we're talking about actually not unlike a small business, even though I know it's not that, but not unlike a small business where we say that's a very important, maybe not yet fully embraced, but a very important part of this community. I know some of that's been embraced, but I think some of that is yet to be embraced, and that's the hope and dream of what you and Edith are doing. So we're talking about the value of something that's so centered in community. It's practicing the way we want to live together and the way we want to eat together.
And it's not also, I mean, it's not like the people who come here don't bring money into the county. I don't know if that's what they're afraid of. We have free time sometimes, and people that come in to visit us say, I'm going to, come a day early, and we're going to do the wine tours, and we're going to, they go to the local restaurants and eat. And, we're bringing money into the county. We're not taking it away from the county.
I think that's even specifically the value I'm getting at is it's Don, what are some of the things that as you've received all this information and you've been at this now for a few weeks, kind of creating a very appropriate groundswell of folks to write to whomever they need to write to, and we'll get more specific about that, because there could be one person who's pretty dangerous with the pen who says, I don't know who to write to, but I'd love to write on your behalf. Don, what's happening with people? What is the chit chat going on, and what are people doing about, like, hey, I'm going to come to this hearing, or I'm going to write a letter, and I'm praying for these folks? And what are you experiencing on that side of things?
I did make a comment to our pastor, Reverend Dr. Erica Marksbury, and she says, yes, she had heard from other clergy in the area that they were planning to be there on the 12th of February, and that's encouraging. I know a few others are sending in letters. I guess what I sense is the number one concern is this concept of religious freedom. That is something that we claim our country was founded on. And there's all kinds of court cases that have battled as to what that looks like and how does it play out. But this seems to be so basic. Seems to be that the county is treating them as that agribusiness and not as a group of faithful people helping each other learn more about how the Creator wants us to interact both with nature and with each other. So to me, that's got to be the core message. And I sure hope there are ears willing to listen on the 12th of February.
Yeah. And I think it's important, probably the most important people who will be there are the clergy from Yamhill County. If they send their letters in and then also make a statement, that would be really helpful, because they're the ones who are saying, if religious liberties for us, it should be for everybody.
You bet.
That's great. Boy, Don,
and Native Americans have often been the sort of canary in the coal mine for this, right? I mean, they outlawed our religions for so long and our freedoms, and made it so that we can't grow our own food. Now we're starting a native food sovereignty program. And, what we do is, I would say probably at least half of the seeds that we carry are indigenous seeds that have been kept over time and passed down. So this has to do with all of these things: religious liberty, food sovereignty, and if they can do it to us, they can do it to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And there's a lot of government overreach going on right now. And
Yep. Yep.
I hope that the people in Yamhill County who care about that will show up and say, we don't
Mm-hmm.
want that here in Yamhill County.
Randy and Don, what has your experience been like Erica's response? And Randy, you spoke of other clergy that have seemed to already voiced that they're going to be in support. Is there more outreach that we can do in regards to clergy and even folks that attend church or folks attend some kind of spiritual practice or something civic minded like that? Is there anything we can do to put a phone call into a church? Or I guess I answered my own question.
I think that's kind of going on from what I
It's
understand.
going on. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
But what no one has contacted are political organizations. And this should be a concern for people both conservative and progressive, on the right and the left, red and blue. I mean, this is not a political issue. This is about religious freedom in this country. And we all hopefully want that.
Yeah. Let us practice our faith. That's what we're back to. Let's spend a few minutes as we come to close here. Let's spend a few minutes. What's the event that's coming up in early February? What can people do? Can people attend? Not? What's going on with that, and how can we support that?
Yeah. Well, it's February 12th at 10 a.m. And it is at the county building, which is 400 Northeast Baker Street.
400 Northeast Baker Street, McMinnville, 97128.
Yeah. And I think it is maybe, I don't see it here, but I think it's on the second floor, one of the meeting rooms on the second floor. I'm sure people, if they get inside, they'll be able to figure it out.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. And clergy and others who want, we're going to meet, especially for clergy at 9:30 out in the parking lot.
Good.
Just to sort of kind of, find out who's here and who wants to say things, and sort of give maybe priority to, in case they run out of time, to people who live in Yamhill County, clergy in Yamhill County, people who have spent time out here, those kinds of things.
Is this kind of open to whoever wants to come to the 9:30 event and then 10 o'clock, or is it really predominantly for clergy that day?
I think it's mostly clear. I think they're the ones that are organizing that 9:30 thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it doesn't hurt for other people. If they want to show up, then that's fine.
Okay. Okay.
Well, I plan to be there, Randy. Plan to be there at 9:30. In my tradition, in the Baptist tradition, I'm a lay leader. I'm a lay minister. I've been that way my whole life. I'm not ordained, but I care deeply. It just popped in my head a couple minutes ago. We've heard other people talking about the years that Mr. Rogers was on children's television and teaching some pretty cool stuff as a clergy person himself. Won't you be my neighbor? I think that, for me, that's what you folks are saying to the people who live close to you and to the greater Yamhill County, and we can do better than this.
You brought that up, Don, and I have to say that we moved here 18 years ago, and it was because we were chased off of our land from a group of white nationalists who were violent. And that all began with a county meeting when they wouldn't let us build housing for our schools. So to me, this is a little bit of triggering and deja vu and all that. But we believed Oregon was a place of religious freedom. We believed Oregon was a place where people had rights and fellow farmers and things like that. And we came here. And so we're hoping that Yamhill County lives up to what we had. Now, they didn't make the regulations, to stop us, but their regulations don't fit us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're hoping that we have those same kind of freedoms in Yamhill County that we had hoped for 18 years ago when we moved here.
That's great.
Thank you, Randy.
Thank you, Randy and Don. Just conversations like this, I feel the word beauty is coming to my mind a lot. Just the importance of beauty and the beauty that you all actually steward. May we not lose sight of that. May we not lose sight of that. And then with that, move forward into what has become resistance. So, Don and Randy, anything else that we want to touch on before we let folks go?
I'm just glad, Doug, that you offered this opportunity.
Oh, that's great. Great. Thank you, guys. The last minute we threw it together. And whatever it means to convey our best to you and Edith. But I think it's more than that. It's just like kind of all of us, we'll be there in the parking lot. I'm going to be there, and I'm non-clergy, but Don is, Ordained means something, and then again, it doesn't really mean much at
Yeah.
all.
Hey, I do have one thing that just
No,
came to
speak
mind.
to it.
I notified a lot of news outlets, including McMinnville, including Newburgh, including Willamette Valley, including Portland stations, etc. I never heard from any of them. I don't know if any of them are going to be there or not, but I think it would be great if someone could make sure at least that the McMinnville paper was there. So I don't know if one of you or someone else who has connections could reach out to them and say, this is important to our county, and I hope that you'll be there and cover it. So,
Well, I'm friends with a photojournalist at News Register, so he's going to hear from me this
Okay,
weekend.
good.
make sure
Randy,
he brings
thank
a
you for
reporter with him so that they get the words too, not just the photos.
Sure.
that's
That'd
great.
be great.
Randy,
Thanks,
thank you.
man.
Thank you very much for
All
that.
right. Thanks for this opportunity.
Gentlemen, thank you. You bet. Bless you both. Thank you. This has been a special edition of From the Belly, and it's been an honor to be with these gentlemen. We're together on Friday afternoon. It's Friday afternoon, the 30th of January, and we anticipate, again, the date, Randy, is the 12th,
Of February, 10 a.m.
Wednesday to 10 a.m. Tell us again the location.
400 Northeast Baker Street, McMinnville, Oregon.
Got it. Got it. Guys, hang with me here as we close off because we got to see this thing upload or people won't be able to hear it. So thanks again for being here.